everyone, I'm Rachel and I teach IB English A here at Royal IB. Now today, I would like to show you how to quote for IB English A. Now quoting is something that you guys do all the time in your IB English A essays, but the difference is, can you quote well? So that's what I'm trying to show you guys today. Now a lot of you jump into quoting and writing quotes in your essays without giving context, and that makes it very confusing and very sudden for the reader to read that quote. Where is that quote from? What is going on in that situation there? Right? So writing these things in would help you get the reader's attention and make more sense of what you're writing about. So in this example here on the screen, from The Great Gatsby, I started off with the phrase "in the final pages" to tell my reader that this is from the conclusion. And I have the phrase "after the tragic events" to show my reader, oh, this is after this big event, after the death of J. Gatsby, right? And then I briefly summarize what the quote is about by saying Nick reflects on the relentless nature of time and the inability to escape the past. This would be a deeper message or the theme. So the first sentence here is the context. Where is the quote from? What is it about? And then you go into telling me the exact quote and then analyzing the quote. So this would be a great example of giving context, okay? It really helps transition between points and your content. Now the second tip that I would give you guys for quoting is to select effective quotes. And my big tip here for my students all the time is less is more. Now, you should abandon the idea that long quotes make a good essay. It doesn't happen that way. Now, long quotes are quotes where students give whole sentences or huge chunks of writing or quotes into your essay. And what that shows the examiner is you have no idea what the main point of the text is. You're just selecting a huge chunk, hoping that something there is correct, right? So instead of doing that, I would tell you guys to choose 1 to 10 words that are significant, impactful quotations that really show or support what you're trying to say. So remember, less is more. Long is not really good. So here I have an example from The Handmaid's Tale, again a very popular novel at IB English A. The quote says, "We were the people who were not in the papers. We lived in the blank white spaces at the edge of print. It gave us more freedom. We lived in the gaps between the stories." Now, when you select a quote from a part of the novel like this, you want to make sure that you're not simply selecting quotes that have very normal, uninteresting words. You want to select quotes that have literary devices or quotes that have very powerful diction. So in this example here, instead of saying "it gave us more freedom," that's not very interesting. You should use quotes that have metaphors. We lived in the blank white spaces at the edge of print. We lived in the gaps between the stories. These powerful metaphors would then show you the experience of the handmaids as people who are objectified and outside society. That would be more powerful in your analysis. All right? Now the third thing I would tell you guys is to use embedded quotations. Now firstly, what are embedded quotations? Now this is a writing method where you put the quotes very naturally as part of your essay. So instead of saying things like "this quote shows that," or "we can see this from the quote," right? You're avoiding that and you're putting the quotes into your analysis as part of the sentence. So here I have an example on the screen, again from The Handmaid's Tale. You can see that I've chosen quotes that are about 5 words in length, even 1 and 2 words. I've put them in my sentence as part of analysis and giving context of what Offred, the handmaid, is experiencing, right? And I have linked it to the themes by saying marginalization. I've analyzed what papers, print, and stories mean. So you can see how using embedded quotations allows you to give evidence, analyze, and give context at the same time. It's a very powerful writing method that you guys should know at IB English A writing level, right? Now, 3 big methods of quoting. What are they? The first method is direct quotation, and you guys should all know this, right? It means you're just taking a quote or the text directly from the work, putting quotation marks around them, and using them in your essay. Now, but sometimes this does not work. And you have to rely on a few different methods. So, method number 2, the summary method. Now, we use the summary method when the quote that you want is very long, or you want to give examples of a series of events that go over a few pages or even a few chapters. And you can't quote that because it's so long, right? So you're going to summarize what happens, but the main tip is you must summarize and analyze why it's relevant to the theme and message. Okay, remember at IB English A writing level, no summaries only, no descriptions, you must analyze, right? So on the screen here, I have an example. The story here is about how the boys are finding a grinding ball, which is a symbol of their childhood, right? And they bury that ball over a few pages in the original short story. I summarize that and I say that that action is futile because it shows a very youthful, foolish, futile attempt to make time stand still and preserve the perfection of that moment in childhood. So that's me analyzing and drawing relevance to the theme, even though I've summarized. Right? Now, what if I want to use a different method? Method 3, the paraphrasing method. Now, paraphrasing means I'm writing the original text in my own words, which means I'm taking the original idea and changing the words. So I use this method when I want the ideas from the original text, but I do not want the words. So here's an example. The original text says I was 12 and in junior high school and something happened we didn't have a name for, and the author compares that to like a lion roaring the way that biggest things do. And this quote is very deep in meaning because it uses a simile like a lion and roaring. And maybe you feel that that quote would be more useful somewhere else, or it's kind of difficult to analyze here. So I can paraphrase by saying, early in the story, the narrator remembers that when he turned 12, life changed in a significant way that he and his friends could not quite name or identify. And the phrase life changed in a significant way would paraphrase the lion part, a big way, right? So here is where you paraphrase the same idea to give evidence, and this helps you out when direct quotation does not work, all right? So here I've given you some tips for how to quote for IB English A. So try these quoting methods out in your essays, and I hope you get a better score in your essays. Thank you very much.